Thanks, guys. If I could just also give a shout out to you three guys, because I love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So that was an exciting match, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, you look so quiet. I liked it. I liked it. I thought they had a really terrible dilemma at one point, CVA, which was, do you go for the rooks that aren't actually doing that much, but just to make safe, or do you go for the Myrmidons who are doing all the damage? If you go for the Myrmidon, the rooks might lock you and you might die. If you go for the rooks, the Myrmidons might just take down one or two of your ships and you're in a really bad spot.
Yeah.
Which is actually probably the intention of what they're doing, right? Make it difficult for the other guy to pick what it is to take out. You don't want to have one linchpin on your team that could make or break the match for you.
They went for the Myrmidons. Do you think it was a good choice?
Well, I think from what we saw, it was a good choice, yes, because I mean, you saw Hydra in a position that they haven't really been in thus far in the tournament, which was one where they're kind of not back on their feet too far, but they were in a little bit of a pickle. There was a moment where it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone for the Myrmidons as well. I mean, it's a difficult situation for an FC because you've got to call it one way or the other. But I think the main thing was the fact that both the Abaddons were fielding ECCM, so it improved their chances of defense against the rooks. Yeah. So it's kind of, some FCs would have gone one way, some would have gone the other. Personally, I'm with Darius, I would have gone for the Myrmidons.
Yeah, and we saw those rooks that, like when you look at Pandemic setup, they field rooks, kitsunes, and no damage is delivered to their teams. Here, it seemed like the Abaddons were firing without issues. Was it due to the ECCM you were talking about?
I think it was mainly ECCM and pure luck.
Luck tank.
Yeah, luck tank basically, because that's three rooks. That's like at least 4 jammers per rook, and then you've got 3 of them, and you've got 2 Abaddons. So you can do the math, and it's like you can just tell so easily that it's got to be pure luck. Or really badly skilled rook pilots.
Those Abaddon pilots should probably all go play a whole lot of dice right now.
Yeah. It's a good night to buy lottery tickets. So these Abaddons, I love the Abaddons. I'm a big fan of our ships. I like the Abaddons because they're like one big violent brick. They do some things really well, but we don't see them much. They must have some disadvantages.
They're very sort of temperamental in terms of cap. If you don't have really good engineering skills, a really good engineering skill tree and a really good mechanic skill tree, you suffer really severe cap issues with them. I mean, when they were first released, everyone was like, the Abaddon's terrible. Because literally, if you run a full damage megapulse fitting with heat sinks that are going to improve your rate of fire, they're going to up your damage, then you're burning through cap faster because your rate of fire is increased. And as soon as you go and you try to do that, the cap just fails on the Abaddon. So you have to throw in a little bit of like cap transfer, or you just have to kind of try and work around it.
I like to run with it anyway and then just complain afterwards. That's my move.
Run with it and complain. I like that. That's a good strat. Doesn't work.
We've also seen so many times Abaddons coming up against curses and battlegrounds who are just, although they're cap intensive already, that's just doing a lot more damage to them.
Yeah.
Although we didn't see that in the last match, of course.
Of course. Yeah, curses I like just because they take people's cap away. Abaddon logistic ship, if you come up against a curse, that's like a bad spot to be in. But yeah, anyway, Navigator, do you fly the MR ships?
Well, I do. I have a character who just specializes in pure MR.
Yeah.
And as much as I love the Abaddon, I like the smaller ships like the Absolution, the Zealot, the Curse, because they're much more maneuverable, they're a lot more fun to play with, and I'm just not a big battleship type of person.
Yeah. I have my main character, who I've had since 1997. I just started training for cap ships now. I've like viciously avoided cap ships, and I fly every race. It's like all their small ships, all the fun stuff. I just did cap ships, and I love the small ships.
Yeah, I had to do that. I just ran out of everything sub-capital to train, so I ended up just starting to roll into cap ships.
That's kind of where I was.
It's a very common refrain, but I did the opposite. So I would be like 8 cap ships in a fleet because I had 11 accounts.
You'd have 8 cap ships, and if they needed an ECM cruiser, you'd be like, "Don't look at me."
Yeah, it was Goon Swarm, and like none of the cap ships ever show up for anything. So at least I knew I could get a fleet together if I had nothing to do.
Yeah. And then you just lose them all.
Yeah. Actually, I went surprisingly long time without losing them.
Yeah.
Because I have so many alts that people don't know what they are.
Yeah. Well, that's quite a cap fleet on their own. We have Voltron versus Dead Terrorists coming up. That's another one of the favorite teams who Kill2 wasn't very excited about. He thought the FC spent way too long time shooting at one target, and then they switched targets, and all of a sudden it went well, but they were kind of stuck shooting at the same one, even though the cap wasn't breaking, and they kept shooting for 7 or 8 minutes.
That was the curse that they were shooting for a long
so,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean that one could. I don't know quite what they were seeing on their side of the screen when they were doing that. There could very well be reasons to just keep throwing a rock at a wall and hoping that something's going to be different the next time you throw it. But I also think Kill2 is perhaps a little over. He wants Hydra to win, and I think that We Form Voltron could very well compete with them.
Yeah, I mean, We Form Voltron is a bit of an all-star team. There's a lot of people from different alliances thrown into it, and there's some very, very good PvPers in there. I mean, you can see the names when they come up on screen. There's also a lot of forum warriors as well, but they're the people who can back it up with a PvP in game. And I mean, I trolled them a little bit in the qualifiers because I like predicted them to lose all their matches.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it, because I knew they would troll on the forums. I did the same with Hydra, and I think they're going to do fine. I think they're going to wipe the floor with Dead Terrorists, to be honest.
I like that Verone justice. I counter your post with a post of my own.
Yes.
Take that.
Well, both these teams have been very consistent the whole way through, and I would go for Dead Terrorists.
I think so. You really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's look at how these teams have done historically. We have some data on how the matches have gone so far. Here we have all the matches from yesterday. This is when we started out with the 32 teams that have made it back into the tournament. Rote Kapelle winning the first match of the day. Sadly out of the tournament now. They were one of my favorites, but not here anymore. Agony Empire providing probably the surprise of the day. Was that the biggest surprise of the day?
I would say by far, yeah. I really enjoyed the match, and I thought that, I mean, Cry Havoc are a good team, and they're a good group of PvPers on Tranquility. And I mean, no discredit to Agony Empire, there's a lot of good guys there, but there are a lot of rookies in the Alliance. That's what they specialise in doing. They specialise in training rookies. So there's a lot of inexperienced people in the Alliance. But I think they did awesomely against Cry Havoc.
I'm just going to agree. And also say that I would want to be on the left side.
That's actually, that happens very often.
Yeah,
Left
I
side
noticed
win-
it last
it's really
tournament
strange.
also.
It's like voodoo. Any other surprises if you look at this?
I think some people were surprised by actually the Panda team victory versus
Yeah.
Solar Fleet.
Yeah. Solar Fleet, I agree, sometimes referred to as Solar Feet.
Solar Feet.
Yeah, which is not so good. They are, of course, called Solar Fleet, but that was a bit of a surprise. I'll say Morses Mihi going out as well.
Yeah, I'm not quite as surprised about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darkside have performed pretty well, and Morses Mihi are like, although we joke about them being role players and stuff, they're a decent enough team, but Darkside have outperformed them in my opinion. They've been a lot more out of the box. They've really put a lot of thought into the tournament. And Morses Mihi, while they're veterans, I just don't think they had what it takes to go all the way this time around.
No. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Let's have a look at what happened this morning, because we had a load of matches. This morning I predicted that the 3 top teams in this tournament are Pandemic, Dystopia, and Circle of 2. I've lost one of my favorite teams. If you were to start out this morning, what would you say, Darius Johnson? Which 3 teams would be yours?
Hydra Reloaded, probably PL and We Form Voltron. Those are the easy ones.
Rome?
Exactly the same.
Navigator?
I would have gone exactly the same as you. Had Reloaded, Circle of 2, and Pandemic Legion.
I think we're right.
I think you
Well,
would be
except
right
we've
if
lost
you were
one.
wrong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I had the one wrong, but it's just like a
Technicality.
A technicality. It was more like
I
a,
don't
since
even
they
believe
brought-
in math.
yeah.
Since
yeah.
they brought Trekkies every round, they deserve,
A
all the
little
praise,
bit.
because they were
They've done
awesome.
But they did also end up walking into the trap of being very unsurprising.
Mm.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they had pretty much the exact same setup through
They
the
did.
whole thing.
They did. They did. It was expensive. It was fun, but it was the same.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're going to suffer a little bit. By the way, if anyone is wondering why we have not started the 18-20 match of Voltron versus Dead Terrorists, we are slightly delayed. I'm not entirely sure what the nature of the delay is. It might be CCP Claw swinging his hammer of justice. It could be.
Or
a
a
big
rip in
hammer.
the space-time continuum.
A rip in
And
the
if-
space.
And when we do start, it will really be 1820.
That would be strange, but it would be pretty awesome.
And what would we remember this?
I'm just confused now.
I'll save this for a science session. By the way, that's a really nice T-shirt.
It is. Yeah, it's a very nice T-shirt. It was for a CSM.
Campaign.
Yeah.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, that a young strapping lad was going to run.
A very handsome gentleman.
Thank you very much. Anyway, we have a lot of stuff to cover as well. We saw the Myrmidon, who have drones, as some ships do.
Yes.
And we have different setups with both sentry drones and regular drones.
Yeah.
And for those people who wonder what the functional difference is, what is it, Ron?
Well, standard drones come in there's so many different varieties. There's scout drones, which are light. There's medium drones, and then there's heavies. They all have different sizes, so they can all be fielded by different ships, different bandwidths. So you get limited by what you can field, depending on what ship you have. There's combat drones, there's logistics drones, there's electronic warfare drones, so there's a massive bag of them. With sentry drones, they're only heavies, and there's Tech 1 and Tech 2. You have a damage type for each race, which gives you 8 different types of drones, 4 Tech 1, 4 Tech 2. And the main difference is that a standard combat drone moves around. It'll chase a target, it'll harass a target until it kills it, or until you call it back. They're also a lot less durable, and they can be killed very easily by smart bombs. Whereas sentry drones, you dump them out of your drone bay and they just sit there. They'll sit around you, and it's effectively like having 5 sentry turrets. And they do a lot more DPS, they're a lot heavier, and they're just, in my opinion, they're all around better, they're far more durable.
That is entirely right. We have another interesting stat for you. This is more around the cost of these ships. This is what has been fielded. We have had massive amounts of assault frigates fielded for massive amounts of ISK. That is what the teams have poured into the tournament so far. The Titan is at 0. I'm not sure if CCP Claw's Titan should really be registered there.
Yeah.
But we haven't actually seen a Titan for good reason. They're not allowed in the tournament.
I think that a big chunk of that assault frigate value is, of course, the Frekkies, because there's 90 billion worth of Frekkies in there as well.
That is absolutely
So
true. That is absolutely true.
it's probably
And they
a
fielded
little
them
closer.
multiple times as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So sometimes numbers are a little bit misleading.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even believe in math, personally. It's just a theory.
It is,
Like
it is.
gravity.
Exactly. We have a few questions from the forums. One is from Fiddler14. It is, how do you decide how many points each ship is? I think I might take this one. Each ship is simply determined by CCP Claw. CCP Claw sits down and goes, this ship will be that. That's how it does. It's an afternoon where he goes like this all the time.
And it works.
And it works.
Because
Magically.
that's what they end up really being
Yeah.
worth.
He's a fantastic man. We are going to the next match. Voltron versus Dead Terrorists.
Voltron.
Voltron.
Dead terrorists.
Voltron.